I'm Corey Hunt, owner of First Class Real Estate Elevate. I've owned the brokerage over 5 years. Also joining us is Trinity Thompson.
Hello, my name is Trinity. I'm a loan officer with Movement Mortgage. I have been in the industry since 2020, and Corey and I have been partners in the industry for about 3.5 years. And we are super excited to kick this off. Okay, today we're going to be discussing how buyers are still able to buy in this market, how they're able to afford homes, and go over the nitty gritty of what all that entails.
So Trinity, do buyers still need 20% down to buy a home?
Absolutely not. That is like I would argue the biggest misconception, of today's market. You absolutely don't need 20% down to buy a home anymore. It's not 1985. There's so many programs that allow buyers to do as little as 0 down, 100% financing, down payment assistance. Obviously, we have VA with 0 down, USDA, but to answer the question, absolutely not.
In your opinion on the mortgage side, do you think now is a terrible time to buy or a great time to buy?
I think that it's all about perception and attitude. I think that anything is what you make it. I personally do not think it is a bad time to buy whatsoever. There's a lot of things that you can leverage in this market that you couldn't in 2020, like seller paid closing costs. We have so much more. We've expanded so much with down payment assistance programs since then as well. So personally, I don't. I know that one of the biggest things both of us, you and I here, Corey, are interest rates. Rates are not historically terrible or as bad as they have ever been. I know in 1985, the peak mortgage rate was, I wrote it down here somewhere, I think it was like 18.5%. The average rate as of today is 6.5%. So that just goes to show that, it's not a bad time to buy whatsoever. And people are scared by headlines is typically the reason why anybody would say otherwise.
Right. And from the real estate standpoint, it's a great time to buy because people always say maybe 5 years ago was great or 10 years ago, but look at property, look at values 10 years later, 10 years ago, everybody says I shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? And now it's just as good of as any other time to purchase in the market. Like Trinity said, with interest rates, down payment capabilities. I think the biggest thing people struggle with now is, do I qualify? What's the plan? How do we get there? More so than is it a good time or is it a bad time? And at the end of the day, and you and I have talked about this over and over again, do what you like. Get something that you enjoy. You go work hard every day.
Yes.
Go home to the home that you want to be in.
Yeah, I love that that mindset because it's true. You deserve something nice at the end of the day. You can't work forever and then just for nothing. So you deserve something nice. Spoil yourself.
Exactly. What do you think scares the buyers the most right now?
That leads me back to rates. I think that scares people the most because in this digital era of, social media, the news, headlines, that's the number one thing people talk about is rates right now. And I think that instead of looking at a payment as exactly that, the payment, they're looking at what their rate is on paper and they're like, well, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it would have been half of what this is. That might be true, but we're not in 2020 anymore. Rates are never going to be, 1.99, 2.5% again. So rather than delaying what should be the inevitable, which is homeownership, because at the end of the day, that is the American dream, we need to look at the payment as a whole rather than the interest rate alone that's on paper. So I would say rate 100% is like the scariest thing.
And I think affordability has changed the ballgame. I mean, the programs that you have with down payment assistance. I mean, we have clients getting checks back at closing.
Yes. Yeah.
So literally.
And that's the combination of the seller concessions, which, like I said, is a huge thing that we can leverage in today's market because sellers are much more agreeable to cover 100% of closing costs than they were during, peak 2020 craziness. So leveraging that plus down payment assistance equals you getting your earnest money back at closing most of the time.
And there's so many great houses available, price ranges available to clients. I mean, we have clients doing homes well under the $2,000 a month range, which is fantastic.
Right.
And I mean, you look around, it's kind of funny. This just came to me, but I mean, my truck was $150 to fill up in gas yesterday, right? So, you know, 10 times filling that up and I could pay a mortgage payment.
Right. Yep.
So people have to also look at that. Times are changing, life changes, inflation comes up. But at the end of the day, this biggest asset for people and capability and driver in the market is truly steady Eddie. You know, you said it before. I mean, interest rates 18%. There's people out there that are trying to do owner finance deals because they think they can't qualify. Somebody told them it was a great idea. And they're paying 12, 13, 14% interest. So I think so much more of it, and you and I have obviously discussed this over and over again, is just information. And that's where we come together, obviously, as a duo and all that we do to make sure that all of our clients are well taken care of, well informed, understand the market. There's a ton of expertise between our dynamic, between Trinity's team, between my team, and between all of us. And I mean, I definitely know nobody's more driven because many times Trinity and I are working at midnight helping our clients.
Weekends, early mornings, late nights, all the things.
Exactly. Let's talk about creative financing and affordability. This is something that you and I are very good at.
Yes, very creative with everything we do. So absolutely.
Trinity, how are people affording homes these days?
Well, the straightforward answer for that is, you know, strategizing with the right team. That just the importance of having, you know, a team like us where your lender and your realtor are on the same page and have the same end goal in mind, which is ultimately the buyer's goal and what they want the payment to be, all of the things. So strategy is key in this market, and kind of back to what we talked about previously, that could be as simple as leveraging seller paid concessions. You know, maybe it's a first time home buyer who has a little, you know, bit of money saved up for down payment, but they don't want to spend all of that towards closing costs. Or maybe, you know, it's down payment assistance plus concessions, stuff like that. So I would definitely say strategizing with the right team is the number one way to make that happen. Affordability is
I totally agree. I think the difference that you and I do is we're preparation people, right? So what we're going to do very different than others is we're going to prepare the client for payment strategies, right? Depending on what your payment wants to be or down payment capabilities. So, you know, walking into a house, you can or can't afford it. We're going to make sure that you're not looking at things you can't and you are at things you can. And obviously, I think it's funny, but the market has not let people, I think, forgot almost that it's your biggest asset.
Yeah.
And
it's the strongest one you have. It's the most guaranteed to have a return one way or the other.
Right.
And it's safer than a high yield savings account.
Exactly.
Yep.
And our goal is teach, right? It's preparation. People go out in the market and they're looking at houses and they have no idea. They haven't been pre-approved. They don't know if they qualify or don't. That doesn't go from a place of comfort. That goes from a place of stress. Because then when you decide that's the house you want and you get set up with a lender that may or may not know your area or your program. And I think that's the other key part that I want to bring up is we're both local. We're here. We live here. We obviously
born and raised
in the exactly right. Yep. I'm not born and raised, but I'm here.
But you've been here a long time.
Right?
Yep.
But a lot of it is, you know, we're in the neighborhoods. We're in the area. We understand the market. Trinity understands the taxes. She understands the best programs for those areas. And some programs are area specific.
Yep. And taxes is a big one too. Even before we close, I go through a whole 30-minute spiel with buyers on homestead exemptions, making sure that they've applied for it by, you know, X date. That's a big thing because in Texas, property taxes are so different per county. and per house because of the taxable value. But that's a huge thing that I know you probably, educate your buyers on as well, Corey, is property taxes and the significance of those for
Right.
sure.
And the difference that we do is we care, right?
Right.
We're not here to throw clients into a house. We'll tell them if it's not a good deal. We'll tell them if it's not a good financial decision. We're not scared to do that, right? We're not here to get a paycheck. We're here to put clients in a good situation.
Yep.
And that's why Trinity and I came together 3 years ago, is for that reason, to give people the experience, education, and bless people with the ability to buy homes.
Right.
What programs help first-time home buyers?
So the first thing that comes to mind is obviously going to be down payment assistance, specifically our in-house down payment assistance. Now, there's no first-time home buyer requirement, so it's not necessarily, designed for first-time home buyers, but the biggest advantage of this program is that there's no income limit. So you could make $1 million a year and still use this program. It's amazing. Corey and I use it. I would say we've at least got a contract in every other week for a client that is using this program because of it's so non-restrictive. It's just standard FHA requirements and then plus the assistance that you're receiving. So no first-time home buyer requirement, no income limit. It's an FHA loan, and it is definitely the most common program we use for first-time home buyers on our end for sure.
And the nice thing as well is there are other down payment assistance programs out there, but here's the difference, and I've seen them all, right? Is Trinity's not waiting for funds to be available. She's not getting you a week before close saying, well, we got to wait and see when they do come available. It's a program they have in-house. They're not brokering it. They're the lender. They fund it. Those are huge capabilities in today's market.
Right. And we're not waiting on funds to come from the county. I know that there's like Easter seals and stuff like that where we have to pretty much send your application off, which those are great too, don't get me wrong. But with this one, it's very streamlined. It's non-restrictive, it's flexible, and it's a great, easy option for a quick close or really just any case where, we've got a first-time buyer or repeat buyer who just don't want to empty out their savings. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program for sure.
Right. And obviously taking out of this, you guys understand now that there's multiple programs. So when we're going over your options and capabilities, you guys truly have the opportunity to get a molded loan to your situation specifically, not just because we put you in a box and you're here and it's a round peg in a square hole.
Yep. Agreed. It's mortgages and buying a house are never one size fits all. So you'll never be put in a box and expected to stay there. What would you say surprises buyers most in today's market?
I think the biggest thing that surprises people is payments. I think also capabilities, what they can and can't do. And I don't think it's surprises. I think it's a lack of education.
Yes.
And that's what you and I have truly tried to, I don't want to say we're revolutionizing the industry because there's some of them are programs that already exist, but we're doing very different than the industry as a whole is we're teaching. And it's a very different process when you go to closing, you don't know how it all worked. You sign and you think it's a payment and you're going to pay it for 30 years. But we're going to educate you on how to use that asset and that capability to A, put yourself in the best financial position.
Yep. B,
to make sure that you're comfortable. So when you get to the closing table, it's not a scary time. It's exciting. You're about to get your keys, right? And also show you ways, and this is one thing that I absolutely adore about Trinity and her company is they're going to watch your mortgage from the day it closes forever. They're not there to close your loan, forget that you exist, right?
Right.
We're here to be your agents for life and your mortgage people for life, right? So we're building that bond and that capability, watching your interest rates, making sure that if they go down, you have the capability to refinance. So you're always in the best position possible. And also from the real estate side, we're watching the value of your home. Maybe values have increased significantly in that area and you could go do something else and make a big change. That's what I think the biggest thing is, and that's how we eliminate surprise. Andy, what do you think surprises buyers the most?
So what I had written down actually is exactly what you said, which is capability. And I think that many people don't realize how much capability they have right now in today's market. And I love that you said it's, not necessarily something that surprises them, but rather just a lack of education because nobody's ever explained it to them. And that's where we come in and we totally change the game for them. So, I mean, everything you touched on was exactly what I had written down for that. Love it.
And I think some of it too that just came to me, that's something that's very, very important is I think people as a whole, it's become very difficult to save money. Right?
For sure.
Things are getting more expensive. Costs are, kids are, daycare, all of the things are expensive, right? So we've created an opportunity within real estate, within your mortgage, within all of these things to give people something that in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whenever they decide to sell, they're probably going to have more money in that sale and in that transaction than they will in anything else in their life.
Yep. It's the most, like I said, it's the most stable and safe investment that you could possibly make.
Let's get into mistakes that buyers make.
So the biggest mistake, and again, I wouldn't necessarily call this, I guess, the obvious mistakes are going to be, getting a new car right before closing, quitting your job, stuff like that, things that most people already know. But I think the biggest mistake that a buyer can make when they're either preparing to buy a home or they're in the middle of buying a home is focusing again too much on the rate. They're letting the rate freak them out so bad, and that is the biggest mistake that you can possibly make because it changes your mental, it changes your attitude. It can kill a deal if a buyer's too focused on that rate rather than their payment. That payment could be right in line with what they wanted. It could even possibly be right in line with what they're paying right now for rent, but they cannot get over this interest rate and that it's costing them, X percent amount to buy this home. Unfortunately, you got to pay to play almost. Okay. So I think that is the biggest mistake that I personally see buyers make. And again, I don't really like to word it as a mistake. It's something that is so, insignificant if the payment alone makes sense for somebody's financial situation and what their ultimate starting goal was. So, like, for example, somebody wants a $2,000 note. They got exactly that, but they have a 6.75 rate and they're just freaking out over that 6.75 rate rather than, sitting down, touching some grass and realizing this payment is exactly where I wanted it to be. This is exactly what I wanted. This house is my dream house. Wife, kids, family love it, but I just can't get over this rate. That is like one of the biggest no-nos. And I can't put enough emphasis on that. I'm sure you agree, Corey.
You and I have talked about this a million times, right? You don't wear your interest rate on your t-shirt, right?
Right.
So nobody sees what it is but you. And truly at the end of the day, it's the affordability of it. A lot of people are going out of rentals. We deal with a lot of first-time home buyers as well. Yep. But rent is 100% interest, right? So you're either making, I don't know any landlord that goes in to buy a house as an investment to lose money.
Right.
So they're doing it to make money. And that's why, in essence, all of these things and factors, the rates are really a small piece, right? A lot of it is negotiations, capabilities, long-term goals, more so than it is anything else. And like Trinity said, the days of 2% interest or 3% interest, they're gone.
Yeah.
Right? That's free money. The free money's gone. So now we're on to reality, right? And that's where we're at today.
The saying of date the rate and marry the house, because your interest rate doesn't have to stay forever. Rates, they ebb and flow. They go up and they go down. And refinancing is when you can time the market right. You can't, when you're buying a home, you can't time everything perfectly, but with refinancing, you can, you can because we can do that all for you. Like you said, Corey, we keep our own portfolio, our own rate watch on things, and we call you when the time is right. And by the time that we call you, that means things are already set up. We may have already even locked your loan. Things are rocking and rolling. Like date the rate and marry the house. Worry about the rest later. If upfront and that first initial rate that we're closing with makes sense in terms of what your actual monthly payment is right then and there.
And not only that, one thing as well that we do a great job, and Movement's app is absolutely fantastic at, is what people don't realize, there's more than just interest rate. There's biweekly payments, which can lower your interest rate significantly over the time. Showing
Shave
you how
off
to pay extra
loan term too.
for sure. So interest is just a number. At the end of the day, the total calculation and how you control your asset is what it costs you.
Right.
So somebody can pay 3% on their mortgage and actually pay more than somebody paid that's paying 6 3/4.
Right. I love that analogy. That's perfect. It's gold.
What should buyers prepare for before shopping?
Obviously, my biggest suggestion is going to be to get pre-approved. I'll let you lead into this part, Corey, but I think that one of the things people don't prepare for or they do wrong is they find a home they love. You know, they have this emotional attachment with this house and they're like, this is the one. And then they go to get pre-approved. So they do it backwards, only to find out that either A, they're not qualified, or B, the payment's way too much. And so you've got a buyer that's emotionally upset and attached to this home and either can't afford it or just simply doesn't qualify. So that's where you come in, Corey. And you the first thing, one of the first things I believe you do is push to get pre-approved. That should be your biggest step in preparation.
Well, preparation's key, right? And like I said, it's creating a path to success.
Right.
That's what I call it. And I tell all of my clients when I first have a conversation with them, let's do a pre-approval. Let's see what you qualify for, and not only qualify for, but what you're comfortable with. Because maybe, and Trinity does a fantastic job on this as well, maybe you don't credit qualify in the beginning. But many times with many clients, we've taken them from not qualifying to qualifying.
Right.
So,
we have rescore programs, credit resources, all of the things to prepare you and get that game plan. I mean, at least once a week, I will have somebody call me and they're like, I'm not looking to call or buy until, maybe December or 3 months from now. But I want you to run my credit. I want you to look at my application just so you can basically get a game plan together so that when the time comes, either 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year down the road, we can be ready, so that we can get all the things done, check all the boxes. And once we're ready to pull the trigger, it's game time, basically.
Well, and so much of it's almost like, and obviously I'm a car fanatic. So much of it is like buying a car and not knowing how it works. Right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We want to upfront show you all of the options, all of the capabilities, what you can and can't do. Because there's some clients as well that can afford more than they're looking at. And they do want those extra options. But it's very hard to go from a house maybe that's more than you thought that you wanted to spend or are comfortable spending, and then going down to something else. So that is actually, in my opinion, the biggest disservice that people do to their clients is not educating, because it is your biggest asset. It is the thing that's going to drive your credit the biggest. And some people don't know that as well. The mortgage is the number one driver of credit and builder of credit. And secondly is Trinity is very good. And I also try to help with this a little bit, but we're very good at making sure that you understand credit, because so many people these days don't understand how it works. They send
and it's an intricate, complex system. Like it's difficult to understand. So absolutely, yeah. Next, let's get into the market reality in Texas. Corey, I would love to hear your thoughts on, are homes still moving? How are things shifting right now?
Texas is what I call safe state, right? It's a place that draws a lot of people from everywhere for tax purposes, right? income tax capabilities. So people are moving here by droves. We do a lot of business with out-of-state buyers that are coming and moving to Texas. So we're helping people from every state, every country that are coming here, and it's a lot. So it is blowing up in Texas, and it's going to continue to do that. New construction's at a high. They're building communities everywhere you go. People are buying and selling all the time. Relocations are big. So it's always moving here. That's why Texas has one of the biggest retentions in value increases year after year after year, somewhere between 10 and 15% plus, depending on the neighborhood and the area that you're moving to. So definitely, in my opinion, houses are still moving. I do both sides, obviously the buyer side and a listing agent as well. So on both sides, I see some, massive moving for sure. And I think it's only going to continue to grow.
So you would agree then with our next question is that Texas is definitely still growing?
Absolutely. I think we have a harder time finding dirt to build than we do for
agreed.
People worrying about if there's, enough houses for sure.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Very true. And so what price ranges would you say are hottest in Texas and local to our market?
I think it's all over the board and a little bit depending on the clientele. Does that make sense? So we have a lot of first-time home buyers. So there's that basket of it. We have a lot of senior citizens, maybe moving from that family home to, something a little smaller, people going from 2 stories to 1 stories. So I think there's that. And then we have the high-end home market. And that's solid as well. I think time frames of on the market depend on price range. Does that make sense? So
for sure.
Your higher end stuff is going to take a little bit longer to sell, maybe an extra 30 to 90 days versus a less expensive home. But still, everything on the market in every entity price range is doing very, very well.
Right. I agree. Like the higher ends are going to be, not as saturated, but at the end of the day, everything's still moving. Like you said, people are coming to Texas left and right. Like we closed multiple deals this month alone in May with relocation from Pennsylvania, California, Montana, I believe. So like up north, out west, they're coming from all over for sure.
Yeah, and it's a great time to buy. I mean, the capabilities here are fantastic. And obviously, I moved to Texas for the simple thing that I don't like shoveling snow, and I've yet to have to get a shovel. So it's amazing.
Yep.
But lots of capabilities. And one thing I want to touch on, too, as well, is we've touched on first-time home buyer capabilities. We've touched on pre-qualifications, all of that. But one thing we haven't, and I'd like to before we wrap up today as well, is our higher end, higher priced capabilities for those types of clients. Trinity, can you go into that just a little bit and give us, some of the capabilities you have for them as well? Because we truly want this to be for everyone.
For sure. So we do. I mean, we just had a jumbo loan close, I think in April it was. So anything over, don't quote me on this, I think it's like 823 loan amount. That's considered a jumbo loan. I love our jumbo department here at Movement. I've worked at several other banks in the past, and there has not been one jumbo department that is as good as Movement's. We've got like 5 or 6 different jumbo programs, and you can put as little as 10% down on a jumbo loan with credit as low as 680, which that alone opens the door for so many, higher end buyers. But the biggest thing that I love about our jumbos is that they're all done in-house. So Corey and I had I think the loan amount was like 1.4. The purchase price was 1.75. But we were clear to close 2 weeks before we even actually closed, so everything's done in house. It's quick. It goes to an underwriter that I'm familiar with and I can talk to as if they're my friend. And that is flexibility and creativity at its finest, because there's so many different ways to qualify for these jumbo loans. Of course, you do have to have, income and some reserves, but at the end of the day, jumbo financing has expanded in terms of guidelines, flexibility, requirements, stuff like that. And Corey and I are no stranger by any means to those higher end purchases and mortgages. So I love them. Never thought I would ever live to say that, but I do. I love jumbo loans. Our jumbo division here at Movement is amazing, and Corey is phenomenal, just as phenomenal with these jumbos as he is with, the mid to lower purchase price deals. So I personally love them. I'm sure you do too, Corey.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that's big that I want to say before we wrap up today as well is Trinity and I truly push for client service, right?
Right.
Whether it be our team, whether it be ourselves, we open ourselves up. There's a difference when you call a major lender and it's 9 to 5, but it's Friday night and you got a big question and there's some anxiety rolling in.
Right.
And Trinity's answering the phone at 7 o'clock. So it's about access. It's about capability. And we've talked about knowledge. That knowledge is when you need it. Sometimes you don't have your questions all answered Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right?
Right.
And
I like to call those big bank lenders, the 9 to 5ers, Monday through Friday. We are not that.
Right. And are you going to trust hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to people that can't answer your questions when you have it?
I know. That's a big deal. That's a deal breaker if it were me.
And we pride ourselves on that, right? We
100%.
definitely make it possible that you're going to get your questions, answers, solutions, anything and everything that you can.
When you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to work hard so you don't have to. This should be a fun, exciting time. This should be a celebration, not anxiety. I tell people this, when you go under contract with us and start finding the right home, by the time you're done, you're going to sit at closing and be like, I guess I just bought a house. That was easy.
Yeah. You're like, wow.
Exactly.
Yep. I love it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today to the Closing Table. We are looking forward to chatting all things real estate every week moving forward. If you have any questions for mortgage related side of things, you can always reach out to me. Instagram is texas.mortgage.lo. Cell is 936-827-9034.
If you have any questions on the real estate side about buying or joining our brokerage, reach out. My cell number is 952-250-0421. Thank you all. We truly appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you next week. Let us know if you have any questions.
Yes. See y'all next week.
Bye.